Hello everyone, I'm Michael Huber with Easy Allies, and we are here to play Resident Evil 2, and I am joined by...
Say your name.
I'm Yasuhiro Ampo. Hey.
And I'm Pete Fabiano, and he's the director, one of the directors on this game, and I'm a promotion producer on this game.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. Resident Evil 2, you are remaking this game, and one of the big things about it when you look at the whole franchise is Raccoon City. Mm-hmm. It's briefly explored, in the early goings of the original. How exciting was the prospect of expanding the scope of the city?
I mean, Resident Evil 2 is really the story of the outbreak within the city, Raccoon City itself. And so this time around, we're able to expand on that, and that's such a pivotal part of the story that we found that to be one of the most exciting parts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a remake, so you obviously want to bring new fans in, but you want to honor the legacy of the game. What part were you most excited to revisit?
Yeah, I think one of the things that was really super exciting for him and the team was that the fact that we could revisit Claire and Leon's story in their younger days and use the current technology that we have at our disposal to kind of reimagine the whole thing. And there's a lot, there were a few things here and there that we really couldn't do back then that we could do now and take it that step further. So that was something that was super engaging for them.
Can you give us one of those things that maybe you wanted to do back then, but...
Yeah, and for clarification, it's not so much that we couldn't do it, it was more so like, what can we do now? And one of those things is really establish the relationship between Leon and Ada. We could do a lot more now. We can have them have conversations as they're walking along. We can do things to actually make that storyline all the more engaging.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up story because it's such an interesting point in the series. Umbrella is still around. It's not post Code Veronica when kind of Umbrella's gone.
Right.
Did you focus on just retelling the story of Resident Evil 2, or were you also trying to kind of tie it in retroactively to future sequels?
Yeah, I mean, so when you look at it, Resident Evil 2 is sandwiched within the series, right? You have 1, you have 3, you have everything that follows. So with that in mind, of course, we had to keep to the roots of what's there. So we kept that in mind and looked at the Resident Evil 2 story.
What were you most apprehensive to change in the remake?
Yeah, just overall choosing like what to include and how to make the story unfold. There was a lot that was included in the original that we wanted to include, and deciding what to keep in order to preserve the essence and make things go forward and make it fit with the current version of the game was really important. So there was a lot of challenges there.
The gore has been a big focus, up to the release of the game. Where, like, is that a passion on the team, just kind of showing off this gore, or is it a necessity to kind of really heighten the tension and the fear?
When you look at, let's say, for example, Resident Evil 7, I mean, I think they took it one step further. And so they raised the bar for us, and so we needed to keep to that. But of course, having said that, we do think it is a necessary element to include in a horror game, in a horror story.
Mr. X, or Tyrant, is obviously a big part of Resident Evil 2, and he's an early prototype for Nemesis, if you will. Nemesis and Mr. X have a lot of similarities. What was the design process for Mr. X this time around?
We can pinpoint a big part of the change on his mission. Meaning, like, what was Tyrant doing there in the first place? And in the original, his goal was to get the pendant from Sherry. Whereas in this one, he is there to eradicate any evidence of wrongdoing. And so he's there to basically kill any survivor.
Where the original Resident Evils can be very confusing with, kind of trying to figure out puzzles or kind of your objective. How was that going into, modern games where there's usually objectives or waypoints? Was it hard to find that balance of kind of keeping the mystery and the puzzles while also not being too confusing to stump players?
Yeah, I'm not sure if confusing would be the word I would use, but there were certainly an element of the originals, and including them in this one was something we wanted to do because we wanted to keep the game feeling like an adventure game, the exploratory. And so for this one, we've actually included a bit more and we've updated them. We have some people on the team who are super into puzzles. They have some really interesting ideas as to what to put together. And, to your question, there was one that we ultimately decided not to include.
Really?
And it involved a chess game. And the point was you find a pawn and then you had to place it on the chessboard. The problem was that you had to figure out how you would get to checkmate, which made it pretty hard if you didn't know how to play chess. So we definitely established a balance. We had a team that would come up with ideas and bounce them off each other. It was something that we took very seriously and we found to be very important to the ultimate progression of the game, to your point. And of course, we wanted to modernize that.
Awesome. And then how would you say the Raccoon Police Department is similar and also very different to the Spencer Mansion? Did you look at the original Resident Evil remake for any inspiration with this one?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the critical path or how you move forward through the play area, one of the things that happened with the remake of 1 was that we changed some of that, right? So the way it plays out is a little bit different. And this is what we wanted to do with 2 as well. So taking 2 forward and changing things up a bit. So, it appeals not only to newcomers, but people who have played the original. They can find some new things and new elements as well.
Do you ever get scared when you play after all these times?
Actually, yeah. We were talking about this earlier, but Ampo-san and I, sometimes they're zombies in, well, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but zombies in lockers. And sometimes, every time he opens it up, he often forgets that it's in there and he gets a little bit of a jump. So yeah, there's certainly elements that still scare us, or at least make us jump. Coincidentally, or incidentally I should say, Claire happens to be his favorite character. I'm going to tell everyone that. Of the 2 protagonists.
Code Veronica hype.
この辺のルートも原作とは違ってます。
Yeah, even this is actually different from the original path that you would take in the original.
How fun was using the Resident Evil engine? Just the technology. Was that just fun for you guys? Like,
新しい技術が、特にそのアリエンジンが使えたことで、楽しかった部分とかはありました？
今回この小田の雨の表現とかね、R エンジンで、
そうですね。
この映り込みの反射とかがすごい綺麗に出るので、雨のシーンを使って。
Yeah, so one of the things definitely you'll remember that in the original it wasn't raining. So in this we actually were able to include rain, and there's a lot we could do with that in terms of reflection and how it looks, the wetness of everything really kind of brings out that sense of horror.
You asshole.
So this, I was just going to mention that, and he beat me to the punch. But as you can see, so the character will speak certain things every once in a while, and it really depends on how you're fighting and what you're fighting. So she'll change what she says, or the character will change what they say. That's another thing that we could do.
did you ever look to other games not in the Resident Evil franchise for inspiration, or do you kind of just focus in on the franchise and really?
そうですね。他のゲーム、他社のゲームとか見て、やっぱインスピレーションが広がったりするんですか？
まあいろいろ、はい、海外のゲーム
そうですね。
はい、いろいろ参考には。
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a very broad answer, but the team, we're all playing different games, specifically Western games as well, and so we take inspiration from a lot of things. But There's some of the wetness we were talking about earlier, using the water.
この
Fire.
クレアがねこう雨を払う細かいアクションとかも
Yeah, and you can see the little attention to details. Like, for example, if when she's wet, she can brush it off. And there's our buddy.
Jesus, stay back!
なんか時々帽子をかぶってよく言われる
Yeah, one of the things that we realized a lot of people have kind of pointed out is the fact that he's wearing a hat.
Yeah, definitely. Where did that come from?
So that's his way of blending in with the crowd. I mean, it's hard for someone, a hulking mass such as himself, to do so, but that was the idea. These cool little actions too, he's thrown in, trying to help you escape.
He's angry.
Oh boy,
He's angry.
like it's time to run. So remember, his goal is to destroy all the survivors, so he's relentless. Yeah. Exactly. He said he's pretty persistent. And you can hear the footsteps, right?
Yeah, it's
You know
unsettling.
he's coming, right?
for sure.
Exactly. He's still coming.
Oh my god.
And he's down.
Good stuff.
Better move it.
That was Resident Evil 2. I just want to thank you guys again so much.
Oh, thank you.
That was absolutely
Thanks for having us.
awesome. That was a pleasure. Resident Evil 2, it's coming out soon. We are Easy Allies. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in Raccoon City very shortly.